and then we'll get into it. So, welcome to tonight's class. So, today we're going to talk about some of the very real questions that many women carry around healing, burnout, and boundaries, self trust, embodied healing, nervous system regulation, all of that. So, if you've ever felt like, you've been holding it all together, always holding it for other people, but feeling really disconnected from yourself, this conversation's for you. So I'm going to go through a bit of a Q&A for some of the most common questions that I hear from the women that I work with. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Vantana Shatamsa. I help women move out of survival mode into joy and pleasure. So we do this through real embodied healing. That means somatic healing, processing stored trauma, old trauma, and stuck emotions out of the body through things like movement, massage, dance, play, so many of these somatic body healing tools. I am actually a mom of 3, and I've experienced so much trauma, complex trauma, PTSD from early childhood, and I carried so much. And I know what it's like to feel like you have to do it all by yourself, hold it all together, but still feel disconnected from who you are while still showing up for everybody else. So I spent many years just feeling like I was in the passenger seat of my own life. And now I support women in returning back to themselves and creating a life that feels authentic, that feels soft, and feels pleasurable and joyful, which is really the way that we were designed to live as women. So I am a feminine wellness coach, also a registered massage therapist, a comedic yoga teacher, a doula, a Reiki practitioner. I've been in this field, in this wellness field, for almost a decade now. And my work is more than just coping, it's more than just strategizing. It's really about embodiment. And the way that we embody healing, particularly as women, is through the body. Because our body, it feels like it's not ours. Sometimes it's been dictated by society, by the patriarchy. So through true healing, it's really about reconnecting with our bodies and healing that conditioning and really rediscovering who we are at our core and our power as women. So I do trauma-informed body-based healing. I do one-on-one services with clients for massage or coaching. We do nervous system support, Reiki, so energetic healing, rebalancing. I do cleanses twice a year. And I really just create spaces where women can reconnect with themselves through softness, self-trust, and embodied healing. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some of these common questions that I hear from the women. I'm live in 2 places right now. I'm going to go through the general questions that I hear from women. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to close off. I'm going to focus specifically in the sanctuary. And so if you're watching on YouTube or Instagram and you would like to be a part of the sanctuary and dive deeper into these questions, this is your invitation to join. So you can join 7 days for free. Come watch the rest of the video. Browse our regulation library where there are somatic healing classes, everything from self-massage to sacred breath work, to nervous system regulation. So what do you do when you feel overstimulated? What do you do when you feel like you have no worth? What do you do when you feel insecure about something, whether it's in your job or in your relationship? What do you do when you feel like you're spiraling? Like, there's so much in there to help you cope and regulate in the moment. And then we do our weekly somatic healing classes. So that could be a combination of massage, Reiki, yoga, and then we also do our master classes, which you're a part of tonight. So first question, why do I feel guilty when I rest? This is such a common question that women feel. It's like you go to lay down and you can't lay down without your phone. You need to check your email, you need to check your text messages. You feel like, what if the kids need you? What if your job needs you? And this is because women have been conditioned to connect worth with productivity. So when we slow down, that's when the guilt shows up. Like, am I doing enough? Am I performing enough? Have I done everything? You're going through the mental to-do list, the mental checklist through your mind. And it feels like you're being lazy and it feels like you're being selfish. But rest is not laziness. Actually, rest for women in particular is how we cultivate our power. It's how we recharge so that we can call in, wealth, so that we can call in healing, so that we can call in abundance, so that we can call in growth, resources, anything that you're calling in. We do that through rest, not through autopilot and through high functioning from one task to another. So rest is really our way to repair and also to tap back into our power. So if rest feels hard for you, just start small, right? Just try, 5 minutes laying down without checking your phone, making a cup of tea, right? It doesn't, I always talk about the power of 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be anything drastic or over dramatic, but really small steps. That's really how we train our nervous system to start to feel safe in these moments of rest, right? And your body can learn to slow down. Second question is, why is it so hard to set boundaries? So if you've experienced any sort of trauma early in life, like this is gonna hit hard for you. So boundaries are hard when they have felt unsafe for you, right? When your nervous system relates boundaries and honesty with conflict or disconnection. So if I set a boundary, what's going to happen, right? Am I still safe? Is this person still going to love me? Is this person still going to protect me, provide for me? Um, it's much deeper than just a mindset. It's much deeper than just saying no. Like internally, your nervous system is designed to keep you safe. And so, if setting a boundary, if you've learned that setting a boundary, someone might withhold something from you, whether it's love, affection, attention, your body will respond in an automatic way, right? And so this is completely normal. This is exactly what your nervous system is designed to do. It's designed to keep you safe. And so safety, I say this all the time, safety equals what's familiar. So if setting a boundary and holding a boundary is new for you, that's going to dysregulate you so much. So what you're going to want to do is start really small, right? So start with even just a pause before answering, right? Start with just taking a moment to just even buy yourself more time. Just let me think about that. That didn't really sit right. I'm going to come back to you on that, versus forcing yourself into a perfect no right off the bat if you're not used to setting boundaries. But just get comfortable with the language around let me get back to you. Let me just take some time to think about it, just to give yourself some buffer time versus automatically saying yes or really rejecting and resisting the idea of no. And also in the sanctuary, I have a class, a course called Emotional Intelligence. So in there's a list that I put in there about 30 ways to say no. And this might sound trivial to people who have no problem saying no and no problem setting boundaries. But for many of us, this is a real challenge. This is something that we really do struggle with. And so I created this list, 30 ways to say no. And it just allows you to find ways that feel authentic to you. So maybe it's not just a harsh no, but maybe it's, oh, that doesn't really work for me right now, or I don't have the capacity right now. It just gives you the language and the vocabulary and the library to really develop that no muscle and set those boundaries. Another question. So, why do I feel behind in life? Right? So, geez, women, like, we just have all the pressure. It's like you have to be married, you have to have kids, you have to have the perfect career, you gotta have the perfect body, right? And most of us we're probably excelling in one area and not so much in the others, or we're doing halfway progress in all of those areas, and it just feels we just carry around a bunch of shame, and that's because we are comparing to other people. So when we start to feel behind, it's either because of grief or shame or comparison, and it's the impact of being in survival mode the whole time, like for your entire life, right? Being in survival mode, you're constantly looking for the next thing to do, the next high, the next experience, the next target to hit, the next goal to reach, right? But healing is not linear, right? Success is not linear, and life is meant to unfold over time. You're not supposed to have everything figured out all at once. So this shame and pressure, it creates more anxiety for us, right? But this is your reminder that your path does not have to look like anybody else's to be valid, right? We are living in 2026, and there's many different ways that we can live our lives. And whether you're, in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, like there's always an opportunity to start something new or to shift gears or to try again. And you can take the lessons that you've learned along the way and help them to shape your next decision, right? Our life is meant to be experienced. We're not meant to have all the answers early on in life or ever in life. It's a constant process of learning, growing, and evolving. So take that pressure off of yourself, okay? Next question. Why do I keep attracting unavailable people? The truth is, like, relationships are always a mirror to who we are and where we're at. And so if there's any sort of personality trait that you are attracting or you're making yourself available for, that is something that you need to look at and reflect at within yourself. And some people feel like that's victim blaming and things like that, but it's actually very empowering, because if the onus is on you, you don't have to wait for someone else to change. You can actually make the decision to change the outcome and change the patterns. So sometimes, most times, we're drawn to what feels familiar and not always the healthiest. So emotional unavailability can feel normal and safe if, like, inconsistency or unavailability was normalized early on, right? So if you had emotionally unavailable parent, or if emotions felt too big and you were just tired of managing emotions, you might want to attract someone who is emotionally unavailable. So that's low stakes for you, right? So healing really involves learning to recognize that steadiness is safe, right? Having someone there is safe. Communication is safe. Emotions are safe. Being close with someone is actually safe, right? And this is a process. Again, it's not something that happens overnight. And I'm gonna answer one more question on our social live, then I'm gonna jump into the sanctuary. But last question: why am I always the strong one? Simple. Women have become the strong one because we've had to, right? There hasn't really been people who maybe have shown up for you, who've provided for you, who've taken on some responsibility for you. So you've had to figure it out on your own, especially true for racialized women, especially true for first daughters, right? Over time, that role feels hard to put down. So we're just like, I can just do it all by myself because I have to figure it out all on my own anyway, right? And that puts us in our masculine mode. And then you'll see that trickle in other areas. You'll see it trickle in your finances, in your relationships, in your intimacy. And so, you know, strength is really, it's not just about how much you can carry, but it's about how much you allow to be supported. And in the sanctuary, I also go into a lot of how to tap back into the joy and pleasure and out of performance, out of that masculine mode. So it really helps us to still be strong in other ways, like a soft strongness. So if you enjoyed this, make sure that you jump into the sanctuary, join us, rewatch the videos, 7 days for free. And if you have any questions, if any of these resonate with you, or if you have any specific questions yourself, let me know and I'll be sure to answer them. Thank you for watching and have a great night.